My debut novel, The Quiet, is now available to pre-order. There are links in the description and there'll be more info at the end. There's a moment in Alfonso Cuarón's Children of Men that might be my favourite moment of sound editing in any film. It's only 10 minutes into the story and happens just before Theo is kidnapped by the terrorist group known as the Fishes. He passes a shrine to baby Diego. We see flowers left in memory of the murdered 18-year-old, the youngest person alive, and we hear two things. First, a ringing noise that sounds like a bell pitched and sped up. And second, a piece of music, fragments of a prayer written by the late John Tavener. It's a very simple piece. Strings support a mezzo-soprano soloist singing fragmented cries. Marta, Pahiman, Avatara, Alleluia. It appears multiple times throughout the film, mostly as incidental, not diegetic music. But here at the shrine, it sounds like it's coming from a radio or a speaker in world somewhere just off screen. It's for the people of this world. It's for Diego and all the women who can't have children. A tiny shift in framing that reverberates throughout the story. And as for that ringing,
that ee, that's the sound of the ear cells dying, like their swan song. Once it's gone, you'll never hear that frequency again. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Theo will hear it again after Julian has been shot.
Cover Kate!
There are so many moments like this in the film. The explosion that kickstarts Penderecki's threnody to the victims of Hiroshima. The tiny snippet of Shostakovich's 10th Symphony before we enter the apartment in Bexhill. The way Wait by The Kills plays on the radio throughout the famous long shot.
Hey, you're snoring.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were. He always snores.
But the most interesting use of music for me comes right at the beginning of the story. Okay, let's overanalyze some music. In order to secure transit papers to the coast, Theo goes to visit his cousin, Nigel, a government minister who lives in the Ark of the Arts, a sort of glorified museum for the rich and powerful. Theo's journey there is accompanied by The Court of the Crimson King, a song from 70s prog rock band King Crimson. As the song begins, we see the front of Theo's Rolls-Royce pushing through the streets, the angelic spirit of ecstasy sticking out against the dirty crowd. The music here is unsure of itself. It starts in D major, but moves to C major with a sharpened fourth in the second bar, then to B major in the third bar. On top of this, the mellotron sings a whiny melody. Cymbals splash carelessly. Guitars play just off the beat. It's grungy. This is music for the people outside the car, not inside it. But then, the perspective suddenly shifts as the vocals come in. We cut to a shot inside the car as it passes through the barriers, along with the lines,
"The rusted chains of prison moons are shattered by the sun."
Next, the car moves onto the Mall, the road that leads to Buckingham Palace, and vocalist Greg Lake sings,
I walk a road, horizons change, the tournament's begun.
And then, as Lake talks about the Purple Piper playing his tune,
The purple piper,
we see a traditional military band.
choir softly sing.
Visions of a police state accompanied by music that speaks of the bloodshed inflicted by a corrupt leader. The king of the song, released at the end of the 1960s, could well be Richard Nixon, with blood on his hands as a result of the Vietnam War. Another song in the same album makes explicit reference to the war in the lines, and where does the Crimson King live? In his court.
For the court of the Crimson.
In the hands of another director or editor, this sort of Mickey Mousing way of matching up song lyrics with the visuals could come across as awkward or ham-fisted, but it works here. The lyrics and allusions are subtle or ironic enough that it feels like distant commentary, not preaching. But we're only 1 minute into the song. What happens when we get inside the court? Well, this is where it gets interesting. At the beginning of this sequence, the court of the Crimson King had been incidental music. There was no physical source in the world that was producing this song. But as soon as we go inside Battersea Power Station, it suddenly switches to being diegetic. We don't see where the music is coming from, but it's definitely coming from inside the room.
I'm afraid this is a non-smoking facility.
You've got something in your teeth.
This, like the taverner at Baby Diego's shrine, is an example of what's called transdiegesis, where a piece of music switches from being incidental to being diegetic, or vice versa. But the audio doesn't change just once here, but twice. Listen.
You've got something in your teeth.
So what's happening? Is the music being played everywhere in the facility and it sounds different depending upon the acoustic of the room? Or is it just being played by Nigel and the first incidental to diegetic change was a lie? Or is it actually not being played anywhere in the world of the film and Cuarón is tricking us? I don't really have a definitive answer for this, but if we look at the lyrics that we hear as Theo approaches the broken statue of David, we might be able to work it out.
The keeper of the city keys put shutters on the dream.
Nigel is the keeper of the city keys, hoarding art and antiquities. Goya, Rembrandt, Michelangelo, Banksy, anything worth stealing.
Couldn't save La Pietà. Smashed up before we got there.
But later on, when Theo asks him how he keeps going, knowing that in 100 years' time, no one will be alive to see any of this art, he responds by saying,
You know what it is, Theo? I just don't think about it.
I think the music is coming from inside Nigel's apartment, and I think he's collected the song just like he's collected Michelangelo's David or Picasso's Guernica. The Court of the Crimson King isn't an anthem for the panicked crowd or a commentary on the injustice of the world in Children of Men. It's a captured relic, locked in the ark of the arts, in its own rusted chains, as the song puts it. And worse than that, its captor doesn't even care about it. If this is what Cuarón intended, it's genius. But even if it wasn't, it's still genius. I'm thinking about the film and its music over 15 years after it was released. And isn't that what all filmmakers want? For their work to stay with you. Thank you so much for watching. As you saw from the intro, my debut novel, The Quiet, is now available to pre-order. So this book follows the story of Hannah and her son Isaac, and they live in a world where an enormous spherical field called the Sound Field has covered the Earth. This field produces a constant background hum and has also accelerated climate change, leading to a massive refugee crisis from the southern hemisphere to the north, and meaning people need to sleep during the day and work at night. The Quiet will be released in the UK and the US in May 2025, and you can now pre-order using the links in the description. Take a look at my website as well for more information about the story. Pre-ordering is really the best way to help out me as an author, as it contributes to first week sales, meaning I'm more likely to get on those elusive bestseller lists. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.